What is good, everybody? This is your guy, Manny, and this is Talking Commanders with Manny podcast. Tonight, I am streaming on my YouTube channel, Talking Sports with Manny, and then also on my Talking Sports with Manny Facebook page, as well as NFL Smack Talk sports group. With me, I have a special guest. I got Mr. Lucky Chucky, fantasy football guy, and also a big Chicago Bears fan. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me on again, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, man, the Commanders versus the Bears, man. This has been a long time coming. We always talk about how Justin Fields sucks, and you always defend how Justin Fields does not suck. And then after 4 games, the Bears are 0-4, but they're capable of, scoring. They're capable of making big plays. So we're going to dissect this matchup. We're going to look at the entirety. We're going to do the whole Sam Howell versus Justin Fields thing. We're going to talk about DJ Moore, like the passing attack for the Bears, the rushing attack for the Bears. So what are you looking forward to in this game? Are you even looking forward to this game, Lucky?
Well, it's kind of a 50-50 question, I guess you could say. I will be watching it. It's Thursday night football. It's prime time. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Justin Fields perform again. He had a really good game last week. I know they played the Broncos. Was expected of him to have that kind of game, but it's the first time he passed over 300 yards, had 4 touchdowns. He's not utilizing his legs a lot to start the season. I would like to see a little bit more of that. It does make him more of a dynamic quarterback when he can just run the ball. So I'm going to be looking for that a little bit tomorrow. Obviously, I will be looking for a W. Bears are 0-4, just like you stated. I still do have some hope out there. Their schedule is a little light within the next few games. So if we can pull out this W here, it does mean a little bit. However, I'm not a big Flus fan right now. He has been on a really large losing streak right now. And I mean, it's going on a year in a couple weeks since the Bears have won a game. So it's not looking very good for his future. And I wouldn't mind getting a different coach.
Yeah, y'all need to do something, man. It's when you look at Justin Fields, it's not really just Justin Fields. He's not the only reason why the Bears aren't winning. It comes with coaching, comes with the front office. It took them a while to kind of put together a passing attack for this guy. It took him what? This is Justin Fields. Is it year 3?
This is year 3 for him, yes.
So year 3, they finally get DJ Moore. Huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah, they finally get DJ Moore. They finally get Cole Kmet is coming into his own. Who I love Cole Kmet. You can tell by my dynasty teams. And then you have Mooney, who's kind of up and down. You had Chase Claypool, which they traded nearly a first-round pick to get. And from the jump, I just knew it would not be a fit just because of how Justin Fields plays. And to be honest, up until this point, I never even decided or even thought in my mind that Justin Fields is a good NFL passing quarterback. And I still am after guys like Lamar. Like, until Lamar shows me consistent passing, I don't even trust Lamar's passing. So do you think that the dynamic of these running QBs, do you think that they can literally have success in the league? The closest one so far has been Jalen Hurts. I don't count Patrick Mahomes because Mahomes is a guy who passes the ball, just happens to know how to run as well. But do you think that these running QBs, these run first QBs, could have a chance at success in NFL?
I do believe they can with the right coaching. That's like the number one thing right there. I mean, you didn't have Josh Allen on that list. I would add him to that list of Hurts. He was actually
Mm-hmm.
the one that kind of broke out before Hurts broke out.
Mm-hmm.
But it all came down to coaching. I mean, he had Brian Dable there before Brian Dable went to the Giants, and he coached him up and he worked with him and he became the quarterback he is now. And same thing with Hurts, the coach over there in Philly, also worked with him. Shane Steichen helped as well. Now Shane Steichen went to Indy where he's working with Richardson, and Richardson looks pretty good through 4 games of this NFL season to start. I mean, I had my doubts with Richardson coming into this year and into the rookie drafts. I didn't want to really waste like a. I'll be honest, I didn't want to spend a high draft pick on him because I didn't think he was gonna work out. I thought he was gonna be just like all the other running quarterbacks that we have. Excuse me, there's a plane. I knew this would happen. I knew he was gonna be like all. I thought he was gonna be like all the other running quarterbacks: Justin Fields, Mark Jackson, the guys that never really took the next step in passing. I mean, the way that I really value Fields right now is I value him as a better Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that he's a better passer than Lamar, and Lamar got paid, so there's got to be something to that. It just, like I said, it all starts with coaching, and we do not have the right coaches in place right now for Fields.
I agree. I agree. And yeah, with these running QBs, man, I just don't even want them. Like Sam Howell, he's a guy that runs, but he's not a running QB. He runs when he needs to. And to be honest, Sam Howell is slow. He's slow, but he gets it done. He knows how to move around the pocket. Even against the Eagles, he showed me great growth. Honestly, he could have had easily 3 or 4 touchdowns, but obviously we ran one, fumbled one, and then ran another one. He was able to move the ball. He was clutch when he needed to be. Sam Howell is a gamer, and that's one thing. I look at several guys. I look at certain guys. His stats don't look great right now, and you can say what you want to say about Dak Prescott. Sam Howell reminds me of a rookie Dak Prescott, and this is why. If you look at Dak Prescott rookie year, he didn't do a lot. He probably had like 20 touchdowns and about 4 or 5 picks, something like that, to where he was a rookie of the year. He made plays and he won games. Sam Howell right now is making plays and he's winning games. He's 3-2 as a starter. Yes, small sample size, but you can kind of see the growth each and every single game. When he played against Buffalo, Buffalo is an elite defense, and we saw what Buffalo did to the mighty Miami Dolphins, right? So when I look at him versus the Eagles, I was optimistic because, it's an NFC East matchup, but I didn't know that he was going to play that well. Not only that, at the end, when your back is against the wall and you're looking for a play, this guy was able to drive the course of the entire field and tie the game with 1 second left. Like, those are things that are pretty exciting. And then the pass that he made to Terry, where Terry was in bounds in overtime, and they say he was out of bounds. Like, if you watch that play again, this guy is fading away, throws the ball with pressure in his face, and it was dead accurate to where Terry caught it. And then they fell short there. But I felt like had they gotten that first down, they possibly could have pulled out this game. And then you got the Eagles defenders like Slay saying, man, congratulations. I mean, y'all got something. Y'all got something. I do believe Sam Howell has a chance to be the franchise quarterback. I'm not going to go ahead and say right now Sam Howell is the franchise quarterback because, things change from game to game. After the Buffalo game, Sam is trash. After the Eagles game, oh, man, we got something. Now, we might play the Bears tomorrow, and then Sam Howell might just play crazy or not good. And then guess what? Oh, he's a bust. How can he be a bust? He was a 5th-round pick. Or, fans are after him and this and that. I do expect Sam to go off. I am starting Sam in every where that I can, just because the Bears defense have stopped no one. So I'm starting every single Washington player, Jahan Dotson, Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin. It doesn't matter. I'm starting everybody, but if I have better options, obviously. So what is your thoughts? Like, what do you think is the issue with the Bears defense right now?
Yeah, I was actually just going to ask the question: what are the Manders like defense ranked right now in the NFL? Like, how are they with that?
I can look it up, but I will tell you this. Their defense, so They're giving up a lot of points right now. I did a
Mm,
stat on the last podcast where Jack Del Rio's defense, the last 3 years, the last 4 years, every year they're giving up about 28 points a game, 28 to 31 points a game for the first 4 games, right? Then by game 5 to game 17 is kind of where they kind of just kick it off. And this is reminding me of, was it last year or maybe 2 years ago when we played the Bears on, I think it was Thursday night or something like that? And I mean, that was a very close game. This could be one of those games where I think the Bears are going to struggle to score. But here's what I'm looking at: the Commanders struggle with rushing QBs. It doesn't matter who it is, from Daniel Jones to whoever, right? Regardless of what the defense says, what the stats say, I don't know where we are in terms of yards right now. I'll look all that up. But right now, I know that we're giving up a ton of points. So
mm,
there is success for the Bears if they tap into how the Commanders have played like the first 4 games. They're going to be able to score 24 points if the Commanders
mhm.
play stupid.
Yep.
If the Commanders tighten up, because right now Montez Sweat is having a heck of a year. 3 sacks already. Chase Young, after missing the first game, came in game 2, and for 3 games he has 2.5 sacks. So I expect those
Mhm.
2 guys to be after Justin Fields. And if you're telling me this is the same Justin Fields that's not running right now, he's going to be in trouble,
Yeah.
because not only are they going to bring those guys, then you got the 2 guys in the middle, Allen and Payne. You know what I'm saying? The Pro Bowlers right there. So all that being said, regardless of how the defense is ranked right now, they're going to be after Justin Fields. And if this is the running Justin Fields, the Commanders are in trouble. If this is the, I don't know what Fields is doing, Fields, he's going to be sacked at least 5 to 6 times.
Yep.
So with that being said, question for you: how is the offensive line for the Bears? Like, I know they were missing what, Tevin Jenkins, I believe. Is he back yet?
Yep. Um, he was activated off injured reserve, but not entirely sure as of now if he's gonna play this week or they
Mm-hmm.
haven't announced that yet. He might or might not be active. Um, it's disappointing with him because it seems like he's always hurt, and he's very talented offensive tackle. I know that he was like one of the top projected ones when they got him,
Mm-hmm.
and of course they moved up to get him too. That's what they used to do all the time in the past,
Mm-hmm.
which didn't really end up working. But um, the the offensive line is a little banged up, and they weren't able to get much time together during the off season. I know Nate Davis was away from the team for a while. Jenkins is dealing with his injuries, and then uh, Darnell Wright was out for a little bit of time too. He's a rookie, also just learning.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're still kind of up and coming. They played pretty good last year, last week though against the Broncos. Obviously, Broncos give up a lot of points, but
Right.
we'll see what happens this week. They really need to step it up though, because I do agree with you. The Commanders do have a lot of pass rushers, and if we're not able to stop those guys, Fields is
Mm-hmm.
going to be pressured way too much. He's going to have
Yep.
to utilize his legs.
Mm-hmm.
I like I said before when we started this conversation today, I want to see Fields run more. So this might be his opportunity to do that against the Manders if they're bringing that pressure. Tuck it, and just run out, go past everybody. No one can catch him, so he's got to utilize that speed.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was going to say about the Bears though this year that has been very disappointing has been their defense because they signed a lot of guys on the off during the offseason, paid a lot of
Mm-hmm.
guys a lot of money, and none of them seem to be there at all. Like any week of this season, I believe the Bears don't have any turnovers at all to start the year, which they're giving up like 28 plus points a game. Don't have any turnovers, and I get that Fields is a quarterback, and I get that you want your franchise quarterback to win you games,
Mm-hmm.
but when you are giving up 30 plus points a game and you're not getting any turnovers and getting good field position for your quarterback, you're putting
Mm-hmm.
him in a hole every day in every game.
Yep.
So that's got to change too. And like I said with Flus, I don't know if that's going to change. Like, I'm not sure if these guys are buying into his scheme, if they want to
Mm-hmm.
play for him. It seems like that he has not like won that locker room over as of now, and And I'm just hoping for things to be better on the defensive end. They need to step it up big time.
Right, right. And the thing is, that's music to my ears. Like I am glad that the Bears are struggling right now. This is the perfect team for the Commanders to play after playing the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, back to back games of those two elite teams, two Super Bowl caliber teams. What the doctor orders is the Bears, but what the Commanders can look at the Bears and say, "Oh man, we got this," because the Bears are looking at the Commanders like that's the team we want to play. So it kind of goes both ways. Neither one of these two teams are teams that you can say have arrived, even though the Commanders have had a little bit of success. When I look at the wins, right? Who have the Commanders played? They played the Arizona Cardinals, who they do play hard. The Cardinals do play hard. Shout out to Dobbs. Shout out to Hollywood and the rest of these guys. Connor, the rest of these guys. They're playing tough. They're playing
But
tough.
they weren't expected to do anything though, so I get
Exactly,
you.
exactly. So that first game, I'm pissed off
Mm-hmm.
and I'm mad, but I'm like, man, Arizona's actually decent.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona's decent. Like if they had Kyler Murray, you can say the Arizona Cardinals are potentially better than the Commanders. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure on anything. Like, I mean, they have their franchise quarterback. He's down, and look at how this backup guy who just showed up 2 weeks in became the starter, and he's balling for these guys. They beat Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to respect what Arizona's doing. So that win, I look at it like, okay, that was a decent win. It's all right now. Denver, I was thinking that was a great win. I'm like, man, in Mile High, man, we beat these guys. I was excited, man. We put up 35 points. Oh man, this offense, Eric Bieniemy, baby, yes. Then the very next week, I see the Dolphins play the Broncos and put up 70 points in those guys. Now, I'm not saying we are on the Dolphins level, but you see what the Dolphins look like versus Buffalo. So it all comes full circle. You won't know the quality of these wins until like the weeks go on. Now we realize, oh, the Broncos are a terrible team. They're trash. The defense is trash, right?
Mm-hmm.
We now realize that, okay, the Cardinals, they're not as bad as we were thinking they were going to be, but they play hard, right? Then now we play the Bears, who have been bad on offense, bad on defense. They got pieces. You got DJ Moore, who had his best game of the season. Justin Fields, best game of the season, 4 touchdowns. He looked amazing, right? But then he played the Broncos. So it's all full circle. Can you really trust these stats versus the Broncos? Like, I don't think anybody can. Sam Howell had his best day as a pro versus the Broncos. So can we really trust the Broncos' inflated stats? Now, my question to you is, DJ Moore was used correctly, right? Claypool is saying that he's not used correctly. Everybody's complaining about the offense. Cole Kmet looked amazing, right? Do you think that they can build on what they were able to do last week, or do you think it was just the Broncos?
I sure hope so. Like, I want to say yes to that question, but at this point in the season right now, it's just really hard to say yes to that. I mean, I like what I've seen from the offense last week. I liked what I've seen from Komet. They paid the guy, so obviously they need to get him more involved if they're giving him money, in my opinion. I I like Komet a lot. I mean, I think he's a really good tight end. I just think that he hasn't been utilized the right way in a while. So, yes, they need to get him more involved. DJ Moore was definitely more involved last week. He is their number one target. They went out and got him for a reason. So yes, get him more involved too. He needs to be seeing on an average about, I would say, 8 to 11 targets a game, if not more. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it really depends on the game script. But another issue that the Bears are having this year that they did not have last year was the fact that they can't run the ball. It seems like this year their running game is non-existent. Like
Mm.
we were talking about, Fields can't run or he hasn't ran, but also the running backs aren't doing much either. And what really, you know, it makes me miss Montgomery a lot. Like
Yep.
I'll admit that right now because when he left, when they didn't re-sign him, and he went to the Lions, you know, I wasn't that devastated that we lost him, but seeing what he's able to do with the Lions with that offensive line there,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of sucks, you know, as a Bears fan seeing that. But
Yep.
good for Monty though, because he has always been a good bruising running back, and he always gives it his all. So I'm happy for him that he's doing well in Detroit. But their their uh, their running game hasn't been there, and it does have something to do with the offensive line not being fully healthy, not being
Hmm.
able to mesh together. They weren't working together for a while, so I'm hoping that they're going to be able to turn that around, and they got to start running that rock. And Fields has to do the same thing too. He needs to. I think he's worried too much about being a good passer, and
Yep.
it's taken the other part of his game that made him dynamic.
He has to do what he does best.
Yes,
Got to.
big
So,
plays.
so here's what I'm looking at. So we know what Fields brings to the table, right? We know the
Hmm.
weapons that you guys have, and the run game has been terrible. Khalil Herbert, I love him. I loved him in Dynasty. I loved him in Fantasy last year. You know, he was a
Yeah.
darling. He was a guy like everybody was excited about. Man, once Monty leaves, he takes over. But Khalil Herbert is not him. Okay, Khalil
Hmm.
Herbert is a solid backup. Okay,
Right.
now Roshan Johnson, I am excited about, and I don't want the command to be blindsided by Roshan Johnson. I
Yeah.
hope that Roshan Johnson is not a factor. I hope they just continue to feed Khalil Herbert. I think this is the game where the Commanders have the greatest success so far in stopping the run. I think they're going to stuff the run. I think that Allen and Payne are angry. They're pissed. They've been hearing all the noise out there. And you had James Cook run silly versus this team. You had James Conner have some, pretty decent runs. So you've had all these different guys. Swift, did well versus the Commanders. Now you're looking at Khalil Herbert. He's a downgrade compared to everything else that you've played. So you got to come out there and smash them in the mouth and limit those big plays out of the run game. You do that, what does that mean? You got Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Mooney, Komet, one-on-one with the secondary that has been burnt this season. Secondary has not looked good. Jack Del Rio's defense has not looked good. Now, the matchup, I believe, is going to be between DJ Moore and I want to say that it's possibly going to be Emmanuel Forbes on him. I don't
Hmm.
know. It could be Fuller. I'd rather go Fuller, to be honest. Mooney, if Mooney gets to go against Emmanuel Forbes, he's going to have a chance to get a couple of deep passes. And I think that the Bears need to utilize that if Justin Fields has time in the pocket.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like what I'm looking at. Even if he breaks out the pocket, there's been plays where Mims have gotten burnt this year. And but Mims have gone against some of the best. You got Diggs, you got AJ Brown. So DJ Moore is not quite yet on that caliber of guy, but DJ Moore is pretty good. I would put DJ Moore around the same level as Terry, maybe a tear down. But he's very good. He's a top 15, top 20 wide receiver in the league easily. He's one of those guys where had he ever gotten the right QB, you can say the same thing for Terry. We'll never really fully know their potential. We don't know. I mean, Stephon Diggs was a guy who played ball. He was decent. Maryland, same as DJ Moore. But then DJ Moore goes and plays with a few guys, and then especially Josh Allen, and then just goes berserk. Diggs was already good. Now he's great with a great quarterback. Now we've seen AJ Brown do it with Tannehill. We've seen him do it with Hurts. So I don't know what the ceiling is for a guy like DJ Moore. Let's say, for example, that the Bears bottom out this year, and then they have a chance to get a Caleb Williams.
Hmm.
What could DJ Moore look like with a Caleb Williams? A lot of people are saying, oh, man, he's unproven. We haven't seen Caleb play. Look at what CJ Stroud is doing. CJ Stroud is looking legit. I don't care what anybody has to say. And each week I see it more and more and more. He went against that Pittsburgh's defense. That Pittsburgh's defense is tough. And if you think that Pittsburgh defense is not tough, if you think that Pittsburgh defense has holes, that Pittsburgh defense has a TJ Watt.
Yeah.
And he was able to put up 300 and something yards on that team and a couple touchdowns. He's him. So sometimes you can see these young QBs come in right away and have that it factor. We saw Sam Howell have a great game in week 18 versus Dallas. And then you can say, oh, Dallas played their starters. Dallas were trying to play for a first round bye. So it wasn't like it's one of those things where you don't have tape on Sam. He comes out, he plays well. Then you see Sam over the course of the next 3-4 games, and then he's up and down. Same thing with Fields. So these young QBs, I feel like they need to be put in the right positions, right? Whether Sam works out for the Commanders or not, guess what's going to happen? Even if they draft another QB, if that offensive line is trash, that QB might as well be trash. You got to build the trenches, and I think that's something that a lot of teams are not really taking. They're like you're I can't even get my words out. You can't take it seriously if you're not building the trenches, right? Once you pay these QBs, let's say that Justin Fields happens to be good the rest of the way, right? He's good. He has an amazing season. Now you have to pay him, right? When you pay him, you cannot support the rest of the team. So when you have these young QBs under rookie deals with a good defense or good playmakers or whatever you want to put around them, this is your window. And a team like the Texans have their window right now. Stroud is good enough to win some games. Your defense is stacked. The offensive line is stacked. Their weapons are stacked. You just add a few pieces there, boom, you got Houston now, possibly the best team in the AFC South. So quarterback development is pretty good. Now, let me ask you a question. As a fan, do you think that the Commanders are developing Sam Howell the way that he needs to be developed, or do you think that they're abandoning him at times?
You saying, do I think as a Bears fan that the Commanders are developing Howell?
Yeah. Like, how do you think that development is going? And be honest,
I
man.
think I think that there's always going to be growing pains to the development, especially what is he, like a fifth round pick or fourth round pick?
Fifth round pick, but the thing with Sam Howell was in a year, like had he come out the year before, he would have been a first round pick and he probably would have been a top 3 QB selected. Because he waits a year, the Yami Brown is gone, Michael Carter is gone, Javonte Williams is gone. A lot of his weapons are gone. Then he looks bad, but the talent has never left. So he's an unusual fifth round pick. And really, he was picked I think the first pick of the fifth round, something crazy like that. But he's not your typical fifth round pick. He was a guy that killed it at North Carolina, put up records out there. He was running the ball, passing the ball. He looked amazing. Like some people were talking about Sam Howell coming out being the number 1 overall pick. That's the caliber of player Sam Howell is. So for those that don't know the background, we'll look at Sam Howell and say, oh, he's a fifth round pick. No, he was a guy that was, he was the man until he wasn't, So with that being said, it's not just that. That's why they're so confident to get this guy a chance. And then if he works, man. If he works, wow, fifth round pick or whatever you want to call it, mid round pick, comes in and then it's not look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's doing some great things. 7th round pick, dead last pick of the draft, but then he gets a lot more respect than a guy like Sam Howell. Because the media, the narrative, oh, he's on a great team, right? He has a great offensive line. He has Christian McCaffrey, Ayuk. He has Deebo Samuels, Kittle. Of course, you're going to look amazing in that offense and in that system. What would Brock Purdy look like right now on the Bears with that offensive line? You see what I'm saying?
They're not very good, yeah.
Right. So, what would Purdy look like? Yeah.
Back to the question, though. So, in terms of how I think he's developing, I think he's doing pretty good. There's always going to be growing pains to everything, but it goes back to the game last week that you're talking about with the Eagles. Eagles went to the Super Bowl last year, right? Everybody knows that. They have a good defense. They have a good offense. They put up points. And the Manders stayed in that game, and he came back, and he showed something. He really did show something there because he drove down the field, he took his team, and he tied the game. Those are moments where Fields has not showed that yet. And as much as it hurts, to say that the defense isn't great, it feels like there's going to be a certain point where we just cannot make excuses for him anymore. He's just, he's not going to be the guy that we wanted him to be, whether it was the coaching, whether it was him not having an offensive line, whether it was him not having a defense. Defense does help. You have to get turnovers and you have to cause pressure on the offense because if you're not taking those points off the board, you're just not going to win games. Because as much as Justin Fields is going to take his team down the field and score, the defense is going to give it right back up. But in terms of how, though, he showed a lot last week just from that one game, and we are only in week 5 right now, so things are still things are looking on the up right now. He
Hmm.
has a lot of weapons around him. I think their defense is a lot better than people think, than
Yep.
take them for granted.
Hmm.
So if they could put together a few more games where they get some turnovers, they can really set him up for success
Hmm.
there.
All
So
right.
he's
Let me say
looking good to
this.
me so far. So you just
Hmm.
got to see how he progresses.
So for those of you guys that are coming into the stream, please like the stream and please share the stream. I greatly appreciate it. Now, back to the young quarterbacks, right? Like sometimes it takes these guys a while to develop. Look at Jordan Love. He sat out for what, 3, 4 years? I don't know how many years he sat behind Aaron Rodgers. He just got to just sit there and learn. Sometimes
Yep.
some QBs deserve to just sit there and learn. Sometimes some can just come in and play. A guy that I think should have just sat down and learned was Zach Wilson. He wasn't ready to just come in. But guess what? Zach Wilson looked great last week. Now, I know it's just one game. I don't know where Zach Wilson goes from there, but you can just see the growth. You can just see the Aaron Rodgers effect. Just being around Aaron Rodgers, him just teaching him, hey, you do this when it's a three. I can't read defenses, but if it's a zone, you do this. Like you check down, you know, so you can kind of see the confidence that he's gaining just being around Aaron Rodgers. And I believe that if had Zach Wilson got to just sit down this year and just learn from Aaron Rodgers, he could potentially be a better quarterback. I'm not saying that he's going to work out, but you can kind of see when guys are put into certain systems or different coaching schemes or whatever the case may be, they get that confidence. I mean, Zach Wilson looked amazing. I have never seen Zach Wilson play the way he played, and I'm a Zach Wilson fan. So I was excited to kind of see him learn and grow. I just hope he just continues to grow from that point on. He played a Chiefs defense who is pretty good this year. The Chiefs defense have done some great things this year, and he looked good. We saw Sam versus a very good defense. He's learning, right? He looks good. Justin Fields now has everything that he needs to be successful. It's sad that it took him this long to get to that level, but guess what? Right now, he's broken. Like, I think a change of scenery for Justin Fields most likely helps him out in the future. So right now, he has the weapons. Obviously, they can upgrade at wide receiver. They're still looking for that wide receiver too. Mooney's kind of up and down. I don't think that Mooney is the answer at wide receiver two for this team. I'm not saying that Mooney's bad. It's just the skill set of Justin Fields. I don't trust you. Like you have Komet, who's an up and coming tight end in this league, who's pretty nice. So he has all the weapons around him. Coaching is bad, front office, but I think like a lot has transpired to where you can still see a Justin Fields go elsewhere and have success down the line. Look at Geno Smith. It took him 9 years to become an NFL QB. Sometimes it just takes these guys a while. Outside of the top tier guys like Patrick Mahomes, maybe Josh Allen, and maybe two other guys, everybody else is just about the same. Look at Joe Burrow. I'm not saying that Joe Burrow is not a great QB, but look at Joe. Look at what's going on with a bad offensive line. What does that tell you? Even the great QBs need an offensive line. The great QBs need weapons, right? Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. So if these NFL GMs start building teams and you have a Sam Howell or Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, you got to build the trenches. You got to give them weapons. You got to put these guys in positions to win. Last point, then I'm going to turn it over to you. Justin Herbert came into the league. He had a Keenan Allen. He had a Mike Williams already. He had an Austin Eckler. How can you fail as a QB when you have all these weapons? And these are some of the best weapons in the league at their positions. So a lot of times, you bring in your franchise guy and then you don't give him anything. And you tell him, you go out there and beat Tom Brady. You go out there and beat Drew Brees. That's not the new NFL. Like these elite special type QBs don't exist anymore. And a lot of guys are hoping that Caleb Williams is that next guy. But what if he's not because of the situation that he might enter? If he enters the same situation right now, you remove Fields and you put in Caleb Williams. Yes, you're going to see some flash plays. You're going to see some highlight plays, but he's going to get destroyed behind that line. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. Now, let's talk more about the game. So in this matchup, what matchup do you think the Bears have a huge advantage versus the Commanders?
So you're talking about the Commanders secondary not being all that great, and you said they're giving up a lot of points. So I honestly want to see them utilize Tyler Scott in this game. Um,
Mm,
this guy was supposed to be um, he was supposed to be the receiver in the draft that had the fastest 40 time.
wow.
So you got to get him to go down the field. and Fields hasn't really thrown the ball down the field very much this year. Um, we see a lot of check downs, and it's something that he wasn't doing last year. So I get that he's trying to add that to his game. He wants to be able to take the easy dump off at times,
Mhm.
which is fine. Like let your playmaker make the play. Do a screen pass here and there, but just too much of something is not good when it
Mhm.
comes to that. So I'd like to see them throw down the field a little more, use Tyler Scott's speed, get him a couple targets downfield, see what you could do with that. Mooney was always a pretty decent downfield guy too. So even if you like line both of these guys up next to each other and have them run like straight out, or cross or something like that in midfield, just get some deep targets out there. That's what I want to see them take advantage of.
I think that can happen for me on our side. I think the Commanders' greatest weapon is that defensive line. I think they're going to get after Fields, like I talked about it earlier. I
Yep.
think that's where they can have an impact for the entire defense. If they're able to get to Justin Fields a couple times, he's going to run and break a few. But if they're able to get to him, and then you mentioned earlier that nobody can catch Justin Fields. Well, Chase Young is pretty. He's pretty. If Chase Young catches him from behind, Fields is gone. he's going to the medical team. If Montez Sweat
Yeah.
catches him from behind, he's gone. And then a sleeper, a guy that I want to mention is Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis has a lot of speed. He could be a guy that they could use as a spy on Justin Fields. That's going to be the only way the Commanders could have a really dominant defense if they're able to spy. Because I'm telling you, he's going to try to run. And like I said, we struggle with running QBs. I'm terrified. Like every game we've played this year was a running QB. From Dobbs to Russell Wilson to Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and then this week Fields, next week Ritter, or even Heineke. And we talk about the young QBs, and you see what's happening in Atlanta. I hate to keep going back to young, you see what's going on in Atlanta, and it's wild right now. It's wild right now when you have a team, you have a franchise, and you can't figure out that quarterback position. It's tough. It makes you do crazy things. It makes you sometimes you draft a guy or you trade 3 first-round picks like the 49ers did to get a Trey Lance. And then I don't think that Trey Lance, he's just not ready. He's just not ready. And,
Yeah.
Then you draft a Purdy who can do a lot of the things that you want him to do. Purdy's not super talented. He's very smart. He's an NFL starting quarterback. Yes. So a lot of times, man, it's just funny to me. Like when I just think about all these young QBs that have come in, and we play a lot of dynasty, right? And we're like, man, I'm going to draft this QB and I'm going to draft that QB. And then it doesn't work because that QB piece, it has to come in and fit to what's already happening. A lot of teams don't go QB and they start building around the QB. Sometimes you want to have that offensive line set like Houston. You got Tunsil and this guy and this guy. They paint all these different guys, and then you bring in that rookie QB, and boom, it works. It looks beautiful when it works out that way.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, but yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what this QB matchup is going to look like. Sam Howell playing a weaker Bears defense, and then you have Justin Fields playing a strong Commanders defense on paper, and maybe Jack Del Rio needs to dial up some blitz or maybe you stack the box and you make Fields beat you one-on-one. You make him a passer. Stack the box, put everybody one-on-one. DJ Moore one-on-one, Mooney one-on-one, Komet one-on-one, and then see what happens, because a lot of the things that they're doing, there's tons of chunk plays. If it's not a pass, it's a run. Like the Arizona Cardinals destroyed us for like 2 or 3 big chunk plays in week 1. And it's like each and every game, you see more and more chunk plays. Marvin Mims had a stat line of I think it was 2 or 3 catches for 115 yards. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. And then you go to the Philly game. A.J. Brown caught the ball and just snaked his way to the end zone. Things like that can't happen. Now, thankfully for us, we're not playing weapons like a Diggs or A.J. Brown. No offense to DJ Moore. He's really, really good. Who knows? Maybe he looks like a guy who's going to go out and catch 8 passes for 107 yards. Who knows? Now, we already talked about the strengths of both sides, right? Is there anything that worries you that you don't really you don't want to watch, or is there a weakness for the team that they just can't get right that is just pissing you off right now?
It's got to be the offensive line. I mean, how long have we waited for the Bears to build up that O line? Just it's been way too long, and they invested in the O line this year. They got Darnell Wright, drafted him. They signed Nate Davis, but so far he hasn't worked out because he hasn't been there with the team. You know, they got Jenkins on. They had Jenkins on IR. Hopefully he comes back. He always plays really well when he's in there. It's just a matter of him not being healthy. But it has to definitely be the offensive line when it comes to that question because it all starts with that offensive line right there. They
Mm-hmm.
are going to limit the pressure that Fields is going to feel in his face every time he hikes the ball. It's hike 1-2 pressure in your face.
Yep.
So he's going to have to utilize his legs. Like he hasn't done it all season,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to have to start doing it this week if they want to have any chance because those guys are going to come after him. Just like you said, you think that's their strength, and I think the O line is the
Mm-hmm.
Bears' weakness. So those two are going to go head to head this week, and
Yep.
we're going to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see. And also, I think that the Commanders will have a chance to run the ball well. They haven't ran the ball necessarily. Maybe this could be a Brian Robinson 100-yard game, especially if the Commanders get the lead and take the lead. I can see them running the ball to kind of like, you know, kill the clock and things of that nature. So I don't know. I'm real interested to see how that run game goes. If Brian Robinson cannot get 100 yards versus the Bears, then I just don't know what to tell him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Then maybe that running game or that backfield is an issue. So I'm interested in several different things for the Commanders. Can we run the ball?
Mm-hmm.
Can we get
I
the
think
ball to
both
Terry?
sides are going to try to run the ball, though. To be honest,
Yeah.
like if we're talking about it, like the Bears haven't, like I said, they haven't been running the ball very well to start the season either. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Roshan Johnson more involved too. He was drafted in the fifth round. The Bears have always have had a pretty good track record of drafting running backs. They had Monty, they had Forte,
Mm-hmm.
obviously Walter Payton, best
Yep.
like running back they ever had, Hall of Fame guy. But I mean, they have drafted really good running backs in the
Mm-hmm.
past, so
I
it
agree.
does give me some hope with this guy because he played behind Bijan.
He's a
So, but
beast.
every time you saw him in Texas in the game,
Mm-hmm.
he was always dominating. He was the guy
Mm-hmm.
that milked the clock for them, and instead of just being able to milk that clock, like he would score a lot too because he was just so good. But he's a good pass blocker, is what I'm told. So that's not really Herbert's game.
Yep.
So it's kind of like why he's not able to really be the number one, true number one,
Right.
and why he's not able to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that eventually Roshan is going to take over. It's just that he's a rookie and
Mm-hmm.
and he's a fifth round pick, so he's
Right.
getting eased into it.
Mm-hmm.
But this could be the week that we see Roshan break
I
out.
pray not.
I'm hoping it is, and I say you say that you hope it's not,
Man,
but
Roshan is a
it
beast.
it's gonna bring a whole new weapon to our offense and a whole new
Mm-hmm.
dynamic option that we can go to
Mm-hmm.
instead of just trying to throw the ball to DJ
Right.
Moore like we did last week. So
And he's a good pass catcher. People underrate his
yes, he
pass
can
catching.
catch the ball. Yes,
He's a 3-down back, and
yes.
hopefully it's his shine from week 6 on. I do not want to see any Roshan Johnson tomorrow. Now let's go ahead and do some. Let's go ahead and do some over unders before we go ahead and end the show. Over under Justin Fields for 220 yards passing.
220. I'm gonna go over on this. I do believe there's gonna be a couple big plays. He passed for over 300 last week. Uh, one or two big plays, and he's gonna be right like midway to that. So I do believe he'll go over that.
Okay, I will say under. Um, Khalil Herbert over under 70 yards rushing.
I say under only because, like I said, Roshan Johnson needs to get more involved, and if he can get something going, they're not gonna be utilizing Herbert very much. So I'll go ahead and say under on that.
All right, I'm gonna say over. He gets like 71 yards to 72 yards. I'm gonna go over. I think if I got Justin Fields under 220, I think that he might be the guy that surprisingly gets those draws, or the screen. I don't know. He's just, I can just see him with like just about 72, 73 yards rushing. All right, over under 75 yards for DJ Moore.
Say over on that. He hit about 140 last week, and I think he was at about he hit 100 on another one, so he's got 2 games out of 4 so far over 100. So, yeah, that's a pretty good line, and I'm gonna go over on that.
All right, I'm gonna say over as well. They gotta throw to somebody, and he's the only one that you can trust.
Yeah,
Over under Cole Kmet 0.5 touchdowns.
touchdowns for Komet. See, I'd like to know what the Commanders how they've been against tight ends, but
Mm-hmm.
with Cole Komet having 2 touchdowns last year, I think that we might see a little bit of a regression there. So I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
say under on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say under. I don't know if he score. It's gonna be somebody random. It's gonna be somebody random that scores for the Bears. Um, on the flip side, Sam Howell
Mhm.
over under 250 yards passing.
You got to say over on that. The Bears defense has been horrible. Like they have no pass rushes right now. They have no. Their secondary is banged up. Jalen Johnson's not gonna play in this game,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm gonna go over on that.
All right, I got a spicy one for you. Sam Howell over under 2.5 touchdowns.
2.5 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say under. The only reason why I'm gonna say under on this is because I do think that they're gonna be able to run the ball on us too. So that means that Brian Robinson can go for like 1 or 2 touchdowns
Mm-hmm.
on the day, and if Gibson hasn't showed much to start the season, but if they're gonna be able to run the ball, Robinson's gonna need some breaks in between. So
Mm-hmm.
if you get that goal line carry for Gibson and he punches it in, then that's one for him. But I had to say under on that only because I think they're gonna be able to run the ball.
Okay, I'm gonna go over. I'm feeling some kind of way. I think that Sam Howell gets 3 touchdowns, possibly passes for 2, and runs for 1. Over under Brian Robinson 70 yards.
I'll go over on that. There's no way I'm saying under on Brian Robinson. That guy, he looks legit. He looks like a
Yeah,
really legit running back.
yeah.
So I'm happy what I see so far. I would like to see him more involved in a passing game, but
Mm-hmm.
um, it seems like they still want to have Gibson involved in that. But that guy fumbles a lot,
Yeah.
turns the ball over a lot. So there's a chance that Brian Robinson eventually does take that over,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's definitely over for me.
Okay.
No question about it.
Now for the final part of the questions. What is your score prediction for the Commanders and the Bears?
So let's see. The Bears put up about 30 last week. I'm gonna probably say that the total will be about maybe 31-27. And let's go. I'm gonna say Bears. They're gonna have to pull this one out. If they don't pull this one out, it's all downhill from here. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's talks about Eberflus being fired, like maybe like during the weekend if they don't
Mm-hmm.
win this game.
Yeah.
Like I said, he hasn't won in almost a year, so
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't put that. I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go after that if they can't pull this game out.
All right.
He did, in my opinion, he blew that game last week with that
Mm-hmm.
call that he made, not kicking that field goal.
Yeah.
But um, but yeah, let's go 31-27 Bears.
Okay.
Uh,
Mm, all right.
just to keep my sanity.
My prediction is 27-10 Commanders. I think Sam Howell throws for 3 touchdowns. We kick 2 field goals. I think somebody random scores for the Bears and then a field goal there. I think the Commanders possibly sack Justin Fields around time, maybe 11. I think it's going to be one where they struggle to move the ball, plenty punched,
Mhm.
and yeah, 27-10.
Let's go one more question over under.
All right,
Over under Justin Fields rushing yards,
ooh,
50.
over, over,
Over 50. What if the
over
line's
50,
at what's the line's at 70?
under.
Under
Yeah,
70. So you're
yeah,
right in
yeah,
between about 50 and 70,
yeah,
somewhere
somewhere in
around
between there.
60,
Yeah,
65.
yeah. I think he's going to run the ball, and he's going to have a good game running the ball. I think he's going to be running for his life. Like, he's not even about running the ball. He's going to be running for his life, man. He's going to have to figure out, is he going outside to run or if he's going through the middle to run? It just all depends on what the offensive line and the defensive line do. Because if the two big guys come down the middle, he's off to the sides. He's off to the
Yeah.
sidelines. If they just rush and they just rush wide, then he's going to run up through the middle. So, yeah. He's going to have a good game, about 50 to 70 yards. I just don't know if he can get over 70 yards, but definitely over 50 for sure.
Roshan Johnson could help with that too, with that blocking, if they do
Yep.
decide to rush down the middle or on the side or something. So
Yep.
it's gonna be a good game. Like, like I said, Bears need this one. I think the Manders obviously need this one too, but
Oh, we
you need
need
every game when it comes down to it. But
we need it in the worst way. If we lose to Bears, man, look, you're gonna have people saying, man, Sam Howell ain't it. They're gonna blame Ron Rivera needs to get fired because this is a winnable game. And then the next game is ATL, then the next game is the Giants, then the next game is can't think of it, but these next 3 to 4 games are winnable.
Yeah.
So it's like it's time to start to enjoy some of these weaker opponents that you're going to play outside of what you've done these first 4 games. So I'm looking forward to it. Lucky Chucky, where can the people find you on social media?
Twitter, Lucky Chucky _FF, pretty much. Currently, my YouTube page is being worked on, so you might find me on Talking Sports with Manny a couple times though. But mainly Twitter is where I'm at.
Okay, good deal, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it, man. I had fun. Last minute Bears fan, just coming on, chop it up with me, man. I truly appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Absolutely. So, guys, you guys are listening to Talking Commanders with Manny. You guys can find the audio version of this podcast on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. Check out Talking Commanders with Manny. We are streaming live onto the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share. I'll be throwing out more content out there. I got Commanders content, Lakers content, fantasy football, NBA, NFL, you name it. It's like a buffet table. You come grab what you want, and then you throw away the rest. So, guys, this is your guy, man. This is your guy, Lucky Chucky. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys on that next episode. We out. Peace.